You think you hit a button and you don't.
Come on, man.
It's
Go for it, dude.
It's Friday. Friday. Friday.
That's what happens when you're a device short. Greetings from Milledgeville and a Friday here. It's a Freestyle Friday here on SDH. And I think we're going to kind of flip the order here a little bit, get into the weekend preview and the juice boxes and everything, because hour number 2 is stacked. Ross Smith's going to join us at 10 o'clock. We'll talk about Major League Soccer, and we will talk about what's going on in his universe with what he's calling this weekend. And then Kacey D is going to join us. Kacey White's going to join us at 10:30, and she is going to be going over everything that is going on in her world and in the world of the colleges as well. So we'll have all that going on coming up in hour number 2. Hour number 1 is traditionally what it always is, and it is going to be discussing all of the numbers and juice boxes and all the news and everything. It's the end of the MLS secondary transfer window, so we have that to get into, and we'll find out what Cincinnati is thinking. Cincinnati's like grabbing anybody and everybody, and they went into the Wayback Machine apparently last night, and we'll recap this particular individual and try to figure out, okay, how different is this individual from the last time that this individual was in Cincinnati. So Cincinnati was very busy. We'll go over all the stuff in transfer window and get you ready for the weekend in Europe. We'll get you ready for the weekend with Major League Soccer, all the things. So there's all of that to discuss this morning. Like I said, it's going to be a stacked hour number 2. So we'll get into all of the news and notes and thoughts there in hour number 2. So as we are here, opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. And let me, once again, this is what happens when you're like a device down and you're used to having like 2 and 3 things that you can fiddle with and punch with. And it's like, it's just 2, really 1.5. So there's your QR code for those of you hanging out with us this morning. Hit your QR code there. And what you do is you end up with going to Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. You go there, use the code soccer down here 15. You buy out the store, but you get to buy it out at a 15% discount. And then they, in turn, take 10% reinvested into youth games, youth initiatives brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Obviously, we are keeping an eye on everything going on after what happened in the Copa Sudamericana, and with all of the craziness that is going on there. We do have a couple of news and notes kind of things that are attached to that. And right now, this morning is probably the bigger piece of news, where it appears, and we're still waiting on official word on suspensions and teams being jettisoned and folks making semifinals and things like that. Following the scenes in the midweek, and this is according to our friend at Golazo Argentino, the Ministry of Security has ordered Independiente play their home game against Platense in league elsewhere and not at the Estadio Libertadores de America. Could be 2 weeks before CONMEBOL make their decision on the Sudamericana. After a strong apertura, Independiente season has gone down the drain out of the Copa Argentina, likely out of the Sudamericana, and a winless start to the Clausura. So you look at that once again. So you're talking 2 weeks. You know, Alianza Lima, do they make their way into the semifinal? As we discussed with our buddy Nino Torres yesterday when we were in Valdosta, it's one of 3 things that could happen. You sit there and it's a walkover. The team that was the visitor gets the Duke. So it would be Universidad de Chile would advance on a walkover. Or you play it over and you see what happens. Or you boot somebody out and then you figure out the semifinals from there. I don't know how you would have either of these clubs work their way forward. I really don't. And there's a lot of things to discuss. We still have the last number that we had, I think, was 19 injured out of what happened. And frankly, I'm grateful that it was less, but it's right now at 19. And you're staring at CONMEBOL first and foremost. Okay, how are you going to respond to this? It was interesting, and as you know, you go through your algorithms, in your timelines and such, and you have like things just kind of pop up. And there was a rant that was posted that was attached to one of the big name pundits in Argentina, and it was Mariano Claus. And he literally was having both teams have it with as many shots as he could. And what Klaus said on the air yesterday, he said in an editorial that he wrote for ESPN, he was highly critical of the whole thing. It is the savagery of the Universidad fans against the savagery of the Independiente fans. So basically, he was letting both sides have it, understandably so. Article from redgoal.colombia. The renowned Argentine commentator stated, quote, "I understand the role of the intertwined players, the anti-racism message they send, that's positive, but let's do something because the conflicts will be back in the stadiums. CONMEBOL is talking to national presidents, city mayors, and security personnel." Then he began detailing the steps to follow for organizing a match in Argentina. Quote, "They tell me that's as far as they go," meaning CONMEBOL, "because it's up to the organizers in the city where the soccer match is being played." So CONMEBOL, according to Klaus, basically says, okay, it's our tournament, but it's your match. Since you're the local folks, you get to handle it. You know better than us. We'll leave it in your hands. We trust you. Klaus, quote, "They tell me that's as far as they go because it's up to the organizers in the city where the soccer match is being played. I have the report after the meeting with all the relevant agencies, firefighters, security companies, health, logistics, municipal transit, and stadium management." Continues. This is the prior conclusion, not the conclusion after this. "In this match, the visitors stand," and this is translated from Red Goal. "In this match, the visitors stand will be the upper south stand, while the lower part will be the home fans stand. During the meeting, the advisability of not having fans in the lower stand was raised, but it was reported that seat was sold out." So Klaus, in his information gathering, got the pre-plan. And the idea was to put the Universidad de Chile fans in the 200 section, like we were talking about. In the if you picture it as a normal U.S.-based setup. So the original plan was to have the visiting fans in the 200 section in the end zone and no one below. But the seats below had already been sold out. So you were going to have home fans in the end zone 100, and you were going to have visiting fans in the end zone 200. And so that's what that was what Klaus said in the paperwork that he was given initially in the pre-meetings, in the pre-planning. Just in case anything was missing, quote, "As a preventative measure, police and private security personnel were deployed in the visiting stand to prevent fans from throwing objects or causing any kind of disturbance. It was suggested," Klaus stated. "Something evidently wasn't implemented," once again, Red Goal says, "on the night of Wednesday, August 20. Klaus is clear that Independiente's management failed to comply with safety recommendations for hosting the rematch against Universidad de Chile. He provided an irrefutable piece of information to confirm his theory of negligence on the part of the board headed by Nestor Grandetti." Remember, Grandetti, we had his quote yesterday on the interview that he had with Kacey, and Grandetti was discussing that it was all on the Universidad de Chile fans. And remember, in our segment with Nino Torres, basically it was like, he's half right. So there you go with Grandetti. And so Klaus has, quote, "Independiente's board of directors doesn't comply with private security or the police. The problem is why Independiente supporters have to act as police officers." Remember the conversation we got into about the bars. "They have to act as police officers and no one stops them. That's the problem with the leadership," according to Klaus. Klaus also reflected on the videos. And at the end of his rant, Klaus basically says, "It happens in Brazil where almost everything happens, but here the suggestion regarding the handling of the visiting fans wasn't followed." So that's that's kind of where we are. Like I said, we're still waiting on any kind of news. And according to Pedro Coates, it looks like it's going to be about 2 weeks. No real surprise there that CONMEBOL is going to look at all the evidence, and we'll see what CONMEBOL comes up with. But yes, it does appear, and David, good morning to you and Jordan. It does appear where that as you're looking at it, you have a governing body. It's like, yeah, it's our tournament and all this kind of stuff. But then when it comes to the end of it all, oh no, we gave the local responsibilities to the local club and the team and the local police. It's up to them to figure it out. They come up with the plan. We'll sit there and go, okay, cool. But that's about it. So right now it gives the appearance that CONMEBOL is like, yeah, okay, cool, great, fine, looks good. Everybody's in the tournament, everybody's happy, everything's cool, so on and so forth. Oh no, it's up to y'all to figure out all the things. You know, we're giving you the tournament. We're giving responsibility to you. I will be continually intrigued in this situation, especially how CONMEBOL responds at the end of it. If CONMEBOL does not blow both teams out and just go ahead and send Alianza Lima into the semifinals on a walkover, then you know it's going to be there's going to be hell, absolute hell. And so that is the palace intrigue over the next couple of weeks as to what it's going to look like and how many folks are going to be yelling from the mountaintops on this one. And David, yeah, it is the passing of the buck is what this appears to be, where you were discussing Copa America. David finds it bonkers. Visiting fans knowingly outnumbered started ish with home fans below them. Generally, I think the setup is most likely best outcome, but put some blanket security up there. Yeah, I mean, that was the initial thought, but we get into the Kloss quotes. And you saw no security. You saw no police. And they weren't up there at the beginning. They weren't up there in round 2. We saw them outside. They were outside in that cordon, leading the fans from Universidad de Chile down that one path and out the door. And this is how you're exiting. And it's up to you after that. Literally, that's the only video that we have of knowing where the police were. They were outside, ground floor, making sure that the Universidad de Chile fans had this one pathway out, and they lined it. Didn't matter what you looked like. Didn't matter, if you were healthy, if you were bloody or whatever. This is your pathway, and this is you. See you later. So that was, So that was that's kind of the latest. So I say kind of the latest because we don't have like updates. Give it a couple of weeks. I'm intrigued what CONMEBOL has to say, and I'm intrigued what they're going to do in this case. Blow them both out, fine one, fine both. To what extent? But I would firmly anticipate a statement from CONMEBOL after the fact when they come up with their final decision. Something like this. Let's play press release here for a second. They come up with the decision. They say what it is. We are disappointed that the events of 20 August 2025 ended the way that they did. There is no place in the sport for the behavior of fans acting in such a manner in a tournament that is as well-respected worldwide as the Copa Sudamericana. We hope that these decisions that CONMEBOL makes going forward will be adhered to, and that local authorities and teams will do their best to make sure that these guidelines will be adhered to going forward. We have nothing further to say in this matter. Something like that. You're going to end up with CONMEBOL making a decision. It'll be 3 or 4 paragraphs. You'll have the big quote from folks in charge. They'll say how disappointed they were. We try to put on a great tournament. We try to do all the we try to do things that will determine a champion in South America. And so you'll end up with opening statement with penalties, paragraph from important person, and then they will try and sit there, and then you will have after that it will be statement of effect going forward. Possibly mention an appeals process, something like that. But you have until, hang on, this is like I said, this is what happens when you're a device down. When are the semifinals? So from our friends at Odds Portal, and we will be discussing things with our friends at Odds Portal here in a second. We'll go over the MLS schedule, and we'll go over the schedule of the Premier League as well. So Copa Sudamericana playoffs September 16th. So you have Lanús, Fluminense, Independiente del Valle, Once Caldas, Bolivar, and Atletico. Those are the 3 that we know. September 16th, right now. That's where we are in the Sudamericana. As we wait for a decision on who's going to play Alianza Lima. And Alianza Lima made their way through, knocking off Universidad Católica at a plus 469 in that particular match. So Alianza Lima waits for their opponent. September 16th is your date for determining, okay, who's going to play when, but everybody's lined up for September 16th. Give it until maybe Labor Day, our time, because then you have to have teams figure out, okay, where are they playing, what are they doing, all that kind of stuff. So give it to about Labor Day, then you'll come up with your statement from CONMEBOL. Let's see how much responsibility CONMEBOL takes in this situation. My immediate feeling is not much. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens there. All right, let's get into juice boxes and our previews for Major League Soccer. Like I said, we're going to have Ross Smith and Kacey D coming up in hour number 2. They're going to go over. Ross has Nashville and that matchup. So we'll get into that with him. We'll get into some Major League Soccer. We'll get into Nashville. We'll get into his thoughts on his matchup in all of its glory. But let's get into the other matchups in Major League Soccer and let you know what the juice boxes are in this. So as Ross has Nashville and the purple team, we'll get to that one in a sec. 7:40 starts, and we also have to get into announce crews and ref crews. We'll get into that at the end of the show. Montreal and Austin. Montreal's a plus 154 favorite at home. Austin FC is a plus 159. It draws a plus 250. I don't know if Austin can score on the road. I don't anticipate this being a whole lot of goals. I would say probably that maybe Montreal squeaks out at least a point here. You end up something goalless, something very, very tight. So that would be my guess at the moment, would be something like that, would be all of that. So that's my gut, is that there won't be a whole lot of goals in it, and there won't be a whole lot to talk about in this one after the fact. So maybe 1 point each. Crew and the Revs. Crew's a minus 192 at home, draws a plus 345. The Revs are a plus 437. Carlos Gil is looking for more offense and more folks to help a man out. Crew at home, I'm thinking it's going to be the Crew at home at a minus 192, and I think that it's going to be a big matchup for Crew to get full points when they really need it. DC and Inter Miami. You don't know how many of the big guns are going to play. They're still even money favored at a plus 100 going to DC. DC's a plus 224, a dog plus 224 at the bottom of the Eastern Conference. Draws a plus 287. This one might be lower scoring. Oh, and as it's changing right now in front of us, Messi and friends are now plus 102. But you don't know where the injuries are. You don't know who's going to be playing after what happened in the midweek with the craziness of the Leagues Cup. So do you sit Messi? Probably. And folks are going to be disappointed that they got tickets for matchups at Audi Field. And probably the most exciting thing might be the beer snake in the end zone. So DC plus 220, Inter Miami plus 102, draws a plus 286. Don't touch it. FC Cincinnati, and we got to get into the transfer window too. FC Cincinnati minus 110, draws a plus 278, and NYC is a plus 262. Yeah, once again, the inability of NYC to score goals turns into an issue, and I think that Cincinnati takes care of business at a minus 110. We'll get into standings, too, as we go. Sneaky good game here. Philadelphia and Chicago. Probably should take the over in this one. I'm thinking there might be a lot of goals. So Philly's a minus 125. I still think that Philadelphia wins it. Might be something 2-1-ish, somewhere in there. 3-1 if Chicago's chasing late. So Philadelphia minus 123. Chicago is a plus 288, and your draw is a plus 296. So that's what you're staring at with that particular matchup. Dallas and LAFC. FC Dallas, 840 kick is a plus 252. Your draw is a plus 268. LAFC is a minus 103. LAFC picked up a couple of folks in the secondary window, and we'll see how soon it is before they all integrate with Yeon-Min Son. Thinking LAFC is going to take care of business on the road, and it's going to be another 3 points in the shootout in the West. Houston and San Jose. Houston favored at a plus 102 just because you really don't know what San Jose team you're going to get. Draws a plus 280. San Jose is a plus 227. And because you don't know what San Jose team you're going to get on the road, that's why you lean Houston. I'm not so sure. Probably something draw and a heavy total. That's my guess. Nashville and Orlando, like I said, Ross Smith will be joining us at 10 o'clock Eastern. We'll catch up with him about this one. Nashville's a minus 109. Purple team's a plus 259, and the draw is a plus 277. Orlando, after what happened in the midweek, they're probably gassed. And so this leans well into Nashville's favor at a minus 109. So I'm thinking Nashville in this one. RSL, Minnesota United. RSL favored at home at a plus 114. Minnesota is a plus 206. Draw is a plus 269. So RSL, once again, you're looking there. Yeah, probably with Minnesota, on the road, not knowing. Maybe a draw, something 1-1, 2-2-ish because of Minnesota United being clinical as they are. We're keeping an eye on the Tani Oluwaseyi news where he might be transferred to England for the total of about $7.5 million. We'll keep an eye on that. Vancouver and all caps. Vancouver, a big favorite at home, understandably so, 9:40 Eastern time. Draws a plus 382. St. Louis City is a plus 479. Whitecaps, I'm thinking this one fairly simply. They'll probably take care of business in that one. LAG in Colorado, once again, with what happened in midweek. How does LAG look when it comes to a lineup? They go to penalties in theirs. Colorado kind of waiting. Paxton Aronson had his press conference yesterday. Don't know if he's going to have any minutes on the weekend. If he does, it might be a cameo in the back. I'm thinking Colorado here at a plus 188 or a draw at a plus 270. I don't know if LAG is going to have the legs to go with Colorado for a full 90 minutes. 10:40 start out west. And then San Diego also at 10:40 hosting Portland at a minus 164. Portland is a plus 370. And your draw is a plus 333. I'm thinking San Diego in that one. That's your matchups for Saturday. Atlanta, big favorite at home against Toronto at a plus 388. And Atlanta United a minus 167. Draws a plus 322. Charlotte, Adelson Milanda gone. Middlesbrough. So they'll have issues at the back trying to figure out how to fill that hole in the short term. Charlotte a minus 119 against Red Bulls, who are a plus 276, draws a plus 292. I'm not so sure about that one. I know that the juice boxers are kind of looking at the offense for Charlotte at home, going up against Red Bulls. I'm looking at the back for Charlotte. I'm thinking it might be opportunities for Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting and Emil Forsberg. So maybe the total here might be a higher scoring game than we anticipate, and I would think that Red Bulls have a puncher's chance. Seattle hosting Sporting, the last matchup, and it is the late game. And so what's 2100? 9 o'clock. So 9:25 Eastern time on Sunday night. It is Seattle and Sporting. Seattle is a minus 250 at home after what happened in the midweek. Intrigued about whether Steph Fry is going to be in net. Andrew Thomas was basically given Leagues Cup. Hey, this is yours. and Andrew Thomas comes up big in PKs with 2 saves. So you end up with the Andrew Thomas situation. Do you continue to run Andrew Thomas out there considering how hot he's been in net? You have the injury issues with Seattle, but Sporting on the road at a plus 533. Probably Joveljic gets his. No one else gets theirs. So it's probably 2-1, 3-1, something in there for Seattle. So I'm guessing that that's what you're staring at with those matchups as well. So that's my gut. I welcome yours. Traditionally, when it comes to these kinds of things, take what I say with a grain of salt. I haven't hit anything since I was 13. Really, I was with my dad, and I ended up. We went to the racetrack. Michael Parker is joining us in a second, and as you do when you go to the racetrack for the first time, you're 13, you're sitting there and you look at the horses. You always want to look at the book. You want to sit there and you're going, okay, so what's the deal? So you always want to bet on the horses and things like that. So, but of course, when you're 13, you can't quite do that. So I go, and there was there's one race in particular, and it ends up as a horse whose name I will never forget. Grandma's Bojax. Grandma's Bojax was the horse, and I got the perfecta. I literally got 1, 2, 3, 4 in that race. Of course, when you're 13, you can't bet on it. But if I had, it would have been a nice payday. I have gotten nothing right since then when I was 13. Nothing. So literally, if you got a favorite, you got your thing favorited out. It's like, okay, I'm going to do this, 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 and this. I'm going to go here. I'm going to hear what Nelson has to say. That's a bad idea. Don't do what Nelson says. Go the exact opposite direction. Go fleeing the other way. Do not trust me under any auspice or circumstance when it comes to anything having to do with juice boxes. Swear to God. That's how this works. Now we go and check in with our mogul in training on the Friday Free Kick. Find out what's going on in the life of Parky and what else is going on. Because, he's having to juggle the Jägermeister Cup, like the actual cup, not like cups with Jägermeister in it, people. Come on now. He's got a tournament. Although there might be benefits there. I don't know. We'll bring in Parky. What's up, dude? Morning.
What up? Sorry to hear about your scarring from juice boxes. It's
At the age of 13, when I was at the horse track. I mean, look. When you go through all the juice boxes, literally, it's like, okay, here's what I think. What do I know? How much do any of us know? Virtually nothing. So literally, it's like, yeah, okay, this sounds good. This looks good. This looks good. What does Nelson say? Nelson gives you numbers. I did what Nelson said. You went the wrong direction. By the way, greetings from a hotel room in Milledgeville, Georgia, by the way. I'm not in Office HD, as you can tell.
There we go.
Yes. No, it's that time of year where everything kind of blends together. And when you're in a hotel, I'm going to go ahead and lean to my right a little bit. So when you're in a hotel, you always try, if you're stuck with this in the background, you always try to make it look like you made your bed.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're a slob like me, it's just like, okay, let's just make it look like I made the bed. And that way, so if something happens and I have to look this way, oh, it's a clean hotel room. Yeah, no, not really. When you are with college kicking back in, this as we come screeching and I burn the transmission on this transition, college is kicking back in, high school's back in practice, and everything is ramping up when it comes to you and Greg and your mentees. Where is the pacing right now? Is it ramping up? Did it literally just slam on the gas and everybody hops back in the door? Is there a transition here, or is it just basically like a light switch, on, off, on, off, on, off when it comes to mentoring?
Well, we do run a sale in August because we know seasons are starting back up and help with preparedness, but not crazy as far as light switch style.
Mm-hmm.
Because some players want to, or parents want their players to be prepared as the season starts and get in the right mind. But often, history has told us that sometimes athletes wait until things aren't going perfect to seek us out, and so sometimes that needs to uh, marinate a little bit within the start of a season. So based off of that, it's not a light switch, which is nice for us.
Well, and does it, if you could, and I don't know, if you could gently do it to where you're grabbing your mentees by the lapels, the floppy collar from like the 80s and 90s on the soccer jersey. And it's like, look, it's a 24/7, 365 thing. Pacing is okay. It doesn't have to be something where it's like, something's wrong. I need to go check in with mentees. I mean,
Mhm.
do you have to have these reminders? It's like, look, it's okay to reach out to me in an off season. It's okay. It's cool. That's kind of what this development thing is all about. You have to remind them sometimes and sit there and go, yeah, it's cool to talk to me in the off season.
For sure. We send out reminders to families and things because, ideally we'd love to, and a big part of our mentoring is trying to give them the tools to handle the adversity when the adversity hits so that they aren't hitting the ish. Um, that's tough, right? It's tough for teenagers, which mostly we work with, right? To have that mindset, right? They just want to think about the present and what's going on right now. And I'm sure we were the same way when we were teenagers. So I get it. It's tough. But, that's why we try and connect with people a little bit in the off season. I get, yeah, you want to get away from soccer and everything, which is great. But, as the season kicks off, we try and have a session with everyone just to give them the tools again as a new season starts and expectations are there, and just figuring out their role, whether it's a new team or current team or going into high school or going into college. It's all a challenge. So some of them do, some of them don't, and we take it from there.
So when you have how many mentees are we talking? 11 billion.
Just under 11 billion.
Okay.
Yes, that's the
So
goal. Get to
yeah,
11 billion.
and you've got book on all of them, right? You have at least some kind of whether it's a Word doc or is it written down like on legal pad, or where do you keep your notes?
Yeah, we do Word docs, that way we can share 'em. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Google Docs. We don't do Word. We don't do Microsoft.
Yeah. So you keep running tally on all of your mentees. When they circle back to you at the beginning of a season, when that first round of ish happens, and they all of a sudden it's like, oh, I got to talk to Michael. You've got your notes there with you. Are you able to process progression in conversations and even how they carry themselves, whether it's a couple of months at a time, if they go away and they handle themselves, they're handling themselves differently when they pop back in the door? Are you able to gauge that from the notes that you have in those initial conversations coming back, is it one of those where I've got them in T, they're back in here, okay, we're picking back up where we left off? I guess how much is progression a part of it that you pick back up, and how much of it is like, okay, it literally is at the end of the last sentence when we last were hanging out with each other?
Yeah, it's like 60/40, 70/30 about progression. I think we all need reminders about things that we've learned in the past, right? It's tough for us to keep tally on everything. And so for sure, just especially where the athlete is, of going back and giving some reminders about certain things that maybe presented themselves multiple times in the past or whatever, or were big concerns earlier, right? Checking back in, see how we're doing there. And then we progress from there. And progression might be the same topic, just viewing it a little bit differently and talking about confidence differently and what it means to them now. And um, that's so it's not all different topics. It's just different approaches and based off of who they are, where they are, and things. But we're still at a point where we're young enough that, and I don't even know if this will ever change, but the notes are good just to give us a friendly reminder. But usually when you get back on a call, you remember the person and kind of, okay, yes, I remember you and what you were going through. And, whether they're easy to talk to or not, or who's going to run the conversation, how involved are parents, like all those little things.
and you have all of these issues. What do you think is the biggest issue that you continue to tackle over time? Is there one that's more constant than the others, or is it still the variety of things depending on the mentee, or is there just one big thing that, yeah, this seems to be a common topic with mentees these days?
Confidence is always one.
Yeah.
But another big one is just understanding the journey is full of ups and downs. And, you know, when you zoom out, you hopefully see it going up. But when you zoom in, you see some ups and downs and ups and downs and ups and downs, and understanding, hey, these downs are normal. And just understanding that they're going to hit and that's okay. And so that's the age of social media, right? Where it's like, hey, these people that are having success and these people that are out there having a great time, right? That's just how they live life 24/7. And that's how I should be living life 24/7. And then when you're not, and challenges hit and adversity hits, or a bad grade comes in, or a tough training session, or whatever it might be, where you get benched, right? Well, and everybody on Instagram's not doing that. So poor me type thing. So
Yeah.
that's a big one for sure.
Well, and how much of when you and Greg are talking to your mentees about the ups and downs, do you try to remember to have your mentee remember that it's about trying to stay in the middle as much as you can? Because we all know, and I know that we're surrounded by young athletes, and it is the extremes seem to rule more than the median, and success over time, I would imagine, comes more from enjoying this and not locking into the bottom, and then remembering that median is always what you're aiming for, and not getting wrapped up in the highs and lows as much.
Yeah,
I'm,
for sure.
I mean, it's just it seems like something that, and like I said, I know that we were 15, 16, 17. I mean, I was back in the 1790s, but when you have these kinds of things, how difficult is it to remind them about being even keeled because of that youthful exuberance and wanting to sit there and go, yeah, I'm doing great, or no, I'm not, and I've got to fix it. How difficult is it to remind them about the happy medium?
Sometimes it can be, for sure, and sometimes it's because players are constantly getting too high. More often, it's because they're constantly being too hard on themselves. Right, so it's all over the gambit. But regardless, right, we talk about that median and that neutral line because it can serve so many benefits as far as just expectations if
Yeah.
you're on the high side, but also it can serve as a goal if you're on the bottom side of it, right? We don't have to get from -10 to +10, right? There's that zero in the middle. That's pretty good for most of us, right? You're living a decent life if you're living right on that line, or at least you can be if you're viewing it that way. So that provides hope for people that are struggling with confidence, right? I don't have to go from unconfident to super confident. I can go from unconfident to feeling neutral, and from neutral I can play better, have more success, and gradually gain my confidence.
How hard is that, though? I mean, to remind them, it's like we live in the extremes. Everything's cool or it's not. How difficult is to remind them that okay is okay? Because I mean, it's like we live in this idea of everything's great, everything stinks, everything's great, everything stinks. Have a good day. Is having a good day and then starting that winning streak of good days, is that something that you literally have to pound into folks? Sometimes it's like, look, it's okay to have a zero. It's okay instead of being a -10 or a +10. It's cool. Don't worry about it.
hmm Yeah, I have to tell myself that even today, John, out on the golf course, right? Hey, just have an okay day. Don't have a shocker here. Don't put up a snowman. Just get a bogey. It's
There you go.
fine, right? But when you're in it, that's tough because you want to be good and you want to be the best and you want to challenge yourself. You want to push yourself. So it's natural within all of us. But yes, when you take a step back and you say, hey, if my bad day was just okay and it wasn't brutal,
Yeah.
right, it makes it really easier to bounce back. And that's the biggest thing because we're all going to have these off days and bad moments and bad things and whatever, right? But how quickly can we rebound is usually the differentiator between people. And yeah, if we make it easier for ourselves to bounce back and we have some tools that are going to help us bounce back, then we can try and separate ourselves. And then, some of those really good days come a little bit more often.
How hard are you and Greg on yourselves when it comes to wanting to do right by all of your mentees?
Yeah, it's definitely something we work on because of course it's only two of us, and it's it takes time, and nothing's, every session that we have is our time. It's nothing automatic here. And so yes, we want to be there for everyone and we want to do everything, but we also have to say no sometimes, and we can't partner with everyone and do everything, and we have to be strategic about things. And this summer was a good example for me. Like, I did not have a super productive summer in terms of work,
Mhm.
but I had a super productive summer in terms of enjoyment and being around the kids and enjoying one of the last few summers I have with them in the house and everything. And so for me, that was the priority this summer, and just understanding and having that knowledge of, hey, I can catch up with this work and I can get back on it and, focus more time. But that's always tough because you feel like you're letting someone down. And, you hate to do that, especially as a mentor, right? You're
Yeah.
supposed to be helping other people up. And so, yeah, it's always a struggle, but you just do the best you can.
Our resident MIT grad, Michael Parkhurst, hanging out with us
Did you
here.
did you see that, John? Did you see MIT? Did you get
Oh,
it?
yeah, yeah. Look, MIT. I saw it. That's why I mentioned it.
I
It is
know, but do you get it? MIT. It's not MIT the
no,
school.
no. Then what is it? What is it? MIT. What is it?
Mogul and training.
Oh, Mogul and Training. Awesome. Okay, cool. Now see, you got me. I haven't had enough caffeine. That's awesome though. Our resident MIT. I like that. When it comes to saying no, you mentioned that for you and your own personal sanity and enjoyment and time frames and anything like that. I know that when your mentees are of that age, they want to please everybody. They want to be in the in clique. They want to be in that group. They want to be that person. They want to make sure that Gretchen Wieners is a happy person on 24/7, 365, and that you're in part of the in clique and that you're not outside of it. Do you tell your mentees it's okay to say no? Do you have those conversations? Do they even ask about that kind of stuff? Because we're in that age group, we always want to be pleasing to folks and we want to sit there and be our best. Do you talk to them about that kind of thing?
Rarely, actually, John. Now that you mention it, maybe I should. Maybe it's something I should kind of institute a little bit here and there, especially for the more adolescent teenagers, right? The older ones here that are, sophomore, junior, seniors, having choices of what they want to do, sometimes after school, and who they hang out with and what friends are doing. For sure, we talk about saying no in terms of sacrifices.
Mhm.
And if you've got a game on a Saturday and all your buddies are doing something on a Friday night and they're having a sleepover and you want to go, right? And hey, there's sacrifices to be made in order to have success, and you can't have everything. So what's the priority? So there is that, but that's less of the pleasing thing and more towards sacrificing, um, and dedication type stuff. So, but no, that is probably something that we should look into and discuss a little bit more, even with the younger generation of, hey, people pleasing and what goes into that, and versus what do you want to do and who are you and does this make you happy type stuff.
And and that was literally just from the conversation that we had. That was why that popped up into my head. I was like, well, we think that we're bulletproof at that age. Legitimately, doesn't matter how many things we got going on. We think that we can go until 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, go on 4 hours of sleep, roll out of the rack at 7 o'clock, go to Dunkin' Donuts, and go to the game, and everything's locked in and everything's fine. I mean, it's patience, it's pacing, it's understanding. Okay, you can't go 100 miles an hour all the time if you want to be better at doing all these other things. Um, it just, to me, I know that I sit there and I'm looking at all these young athletes today, and they all look bulletproof. They really do. But
Mhm.
I'm in awe of what you and Greg do because of the level of patience that you guys piece together with all of these individuals and want to make sure that this next generation is approaching it the right way and that they're not, that nothing gets left out and that they continue to do things the way that it's supposed to be done. And I mean, it's just something that's come across for me that you guys wanted to take this on in the first place to do this kind of stuff. Do you feel the impact that you guys are having? Do you get? I know you may not necessarily get to see it all the time, but do you kind of gauge the impact that you guys are having with what you're doing there at Beyond Goals?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Sometimes we get good feedback, and we see somebody have success. We see somebody commit to a college. Be very happy with where they're at. Talking to a few pros lately that are in circumstances they want to change, and when something comes out of that, and they see things a little more clearly, that's success in my eyes. So there's definitely some moments where we feel good about what we're doing. To get back to what you were saying earlier, John, about telling kids that it's okay to say no sometimes. I could just foresee a parent of like a 12 or a 13-year-old saying, well, my kid said no, that I'm not going to do chores this week because that doesn't make me happy.
Yeah, you've already run that game, haven't you?
Parky told me I can say no and do things that make me happy and not feel pressured.
Yes, exactly. My mentor said this. Well, I'll show you this. It's like, okay, mentor, all right, mentee, you go over there and take out the garbage. I mean, but shoot, hey, mentor, go take out the garbage. Okay, yeah, you get home after your weekend. It's like, hey, mentor, Sunday night, go take out the garbage. Yes, ma'am. I mean, literally, but that's how things are.
Yeah.
Michael Parker is hanging out with us, Beyond Goals Mentoring, our resident MIT, our mogul in training. I noticed you got a banner over your left shoulder in the office now. I noticed this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's from the first inaugural game at the stadium.
How did that feel,
Right.
sir?
And this guy over here, I had to bring this out for
Oh,
an event the other day. Oh, I guess I can't hold it up because it kind of, but that's what it is.
oh,
The case.
Oh, very nice. Oh, look at that.
Guy.
Look at that.
Good reminders.
Yeah. Okay. So since you opened that box, I'll go through that door. When you're in a situation like you're seeing with your old club, and it's like you're seeing improvement, but it's almost like Schleprock's hanging out with you, and you hit a crossbar, you hit a post. It's like you're seeing improvement, but it's not coming into results. I guess that's something else we could talk about with your mentees. What's it like to see the current state of affairs with Atlanta United the way that it is right now, with only a handful of matches left at home this year?
It's tough. Not going to sugarcoat it. It's tough.
No.
It stinks. It's obviously a far cry from where it was a few years ago.
Right.
But I'm a half glass full, and I understand there's huge expectations every season. I think particularly going into this season based off of the off season last year and the finances and everything.
Right.
And so I think that's what makes it more frustrating, because it's not a lack of effort from the front office. That things haven't gone well. And, it's easy to say, oh, it's because this guy got injured, or this guy was missing, or, oh, we just don't have a good striker, or, oh, this, that, or the other thing. It's more frustrating when you can't exactly pinpoint it and say, hey, we've spent money, we've got a talented roster, we should be good enough to be at least a playoff team. Why isn't it clicking? Why can't we do it? Type thing. That's where the frustration really lies for probably most people, and including the players. I've been there. My last year in Columbus was like that. Like, why can't we win? I don't know why. And it's super frustrating. And there's no way to sugarcoat it. There's no one that's, from players to staff to fans, that's enjoyed this season. And that's frustrating. But I do think that given the league and Arthur's ambition and the club and where we're at, that there's no reason why we can't be a top team next year.
When are you playing golf? When's your tee time?
I wish I was playing today, but I did play the other day, John. John, I've been playing really well lately.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've got my handicap down to, I think it's right at 11.
Whoa.
I shot an 85 yesterday with an 8 on the last hole.
Wow.
So that was frustrating finish, but I played well. And so for me, that's really good golf. The single-digit handicap is within sight.
Wow. See, I play better the longer the gap time between rounds. Like if I play like back to back or do like twice in a week, that second round, I'm awful. If I haven't played in like 6 months and I go out cold turkey, I'm crushing it.
Nice. Yep.
It's stupid that way. I can't explain it. I'm probably an 18. I break 90. But it's like I've got a new set of clubs. The boss was like, "You got to get rid of your old metal shafts," and I've had to dial everything back to 0. My yardages are just screwed up because I now have Callaways with the graphite shafts or the composites, and I'm back to 0. It's like literally, it's like I'm sitting here, and because of my swing speed and everything, I'm 2 and 3 club lengths ahead. It's like I'm hitting 9 irons 152 with my old clubs. With my 9 iron now, I'm back to 110, and I'm sitting there and I'm piddling around, and I'm going, okay, when it goes 110, and dealing with new clubs, especially with newfangled technology, stinks, man. It's awful.
Well, I hope to have that problem someday, but I told myself my Nikes. Everyone's always amazed that I play with Nike clubs. I got the whole thing, driver, woods, irons, the whole thing, except for a putter.
But
And the putter, John.
Yeah.
I got from Play It Again Sports like 3 or 4 weeks ago. It's been a game changer for me.
But that's the thing. It's like literally your club, and that's the thing. It's like your clubs are your clubs. They're what you wanted. They're what you like. It fits you. This is my thing, and to heck with the rest of you. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm comfortable with. I'm not going to succumb to the peer pressure of golf clubs. This is not going to happen for me. I'm going to play my Nikes, and to heck with you. And I'll get a snowman. And when was the last time you broke 80?
I never have.
What? Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in addition to getting from a double handicap to a single, you got to break 80.
Yep.
See, you were if you hadn't a snowman and you just bogeyed out, you'd be at an 83.
I know. I've shot 82 and 83 a bunch of times, but yeah, never 81, never 80, never below.
Oh man,
it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah. All right, what's the latest with Beyond Goals Mentoring? When are we announcing this third mentor?
Oh, she's announced, John. It's out in the wild.
Okay,
Zara Shavoshi.
Okay.
I didn't want to butcher the last name. Zara, yes, defender for Orlando Pride. She went to Wake Forest. Of course she did, and yeah, she's awesome.
The third mentor,
Canadian American, so she's played with both national teams at the youth level, and then has played. I don't know if she's fully committed yet or not, but she's played with the full Canadian team. So we'll see.
Okay, so Canadian American and playing for the purple team in the NWSL. As always, my friend, it's great to catch up with you wherever the door opens and wherever it goes. I'm glad that we're back to see the next season of Beyond Goals Mentoring, and you guys are crushing it and dealing with all the ish that folks have to deal with these days and correcting it to make sure that the path is what it always is. Where's Deacon?
On the floor, not in her bed this time, but next to her bed.
But it's cooler. I understand that. You're
We're talking about it.
What?
In the most recent book that I'm about to start.
There it is.
Chief Joy Officer.
Okay. So our Chief Joy Officer at MIT, Michael Parkhurst. As always, my friend, great to see you. And have a great weekend. We'll catch up with you in a couple of weeks. Be well, and we'll catch up soon. You
too. Safe travels, John.
Chief Joy Officer, Michael Parkhurst. I have to remember that. Chief Joy Officer. Chief Joy Officer. So he'll end up being like the CJO and the MIT at BGM. Okay, I see how this works. Okay, good stuff. It's always great to catch up with Michael Parkhurst and find out what's going on there with Beyond Goals Mentoring. And they put up with me like nobody's business. He and Greg, it's like when they can, they pop in and they get to talk about everything and growing all of what's going on at Beyond Goals. And it's always really fun to catch up with them. Hour number 2, Ross Smith set to join us in a couple of minutes from Apple TV Plus and Major League Soccer. And Kacey White's going to join us at 10:30. We're going to talk a little bit about it. Toronto FC, because her last matchup was Columbus and Toronto. And we're going to go into the college ranks. She's got a couple of games this weekend to get into. We'll go over what happened with Florida State and the Lowdown Dirty Cheaters in Gainesville. And we'll, with her call with Jen Hildreth, we'll get into that. And then we'll wrap up the show with what to watch, gossip, MLS secondary transfer window stuff, all of those things. We'll probably get into that with Ross a little bit too, and we'll find out what's on his mind. And we might recap the life and times of Brenner while we're at it, because Cincinnati making a whole lot of moves and Paxton Aronson coming into the league. And so we'll get into the minutia of the window, in the last 15 minutes of the show. But probably the bulk of it, we'll talk Nashville, we'll talk Orlando, we'll talk that matchup, talk about Atlanta, talk about the secondary transfer window with Ross when he pops up here in just a little bit. Apparently, and there have been another couple of moves that were announced this morning, by the way, that I guess made it across the 1 a.m. deadline. And so we'll see what happens there. Joining us now, he's got his seatbelt on. So it is Safe Guesting with Ross Smith. And we'll try and get our best Tony Husband story while we're at it, too. So there's Ross.
My goodness, I got a lot.
Yeah, see? That's the idea.
Hi, John. Nice to see you.
Good to be seen. Let's see. So you are safe guesting this morning. Where are you, sir?
I am. My apologies. I am actually heading to Nashville SC's training right now.
Okay. So how much? Yeah.
So whenever, I mean, I'm in market. I live in Nashville. I'm based out of here, but
okay.
This on the Fridays, I love the access we get with Apple to be able to get on the training ground and chat with the coaches. And coaches have warmed up to it a bit more than the first year when they're a bit skeptical of what we're up to coming onto the training ground. But now it's fantastic, and the insight you get is there's nothing like it to prep for the games.
So you've got BJ Callahan when you get to show up on Fridays. What's it like to see the BJ Callahan era in Nashville compared to what Gary Smith had going on?
A different culture, and I would say a different language. And BJ Callahan, from the first day when he stepped on the training ground, the words that he was using is so different and unique to any other manager, not just Gary Smith. He's made it his own. And he's believed that the players, they all need to be on the same page as part of creating the culture that he wants, but the understanding as well. So when he uses certain terms, and granted that was a year ago when he started out. Now when I'll step on the training ground today, everybody's talking the same talk, and I think it's really interesting to to sort of see that, and then the style, what you go into, and how he's approached it. He's very meticulous with his attacking phase of play and the spaces guys get into. It's been really neat to see him operate and how it's come together.
What unlocked Sam's surge?
His position. I think his position, and I know Gary Smith was looking at that as well. And I think with Sam playing more towards like a left winger, that's where he played when he was across in England. I think that's his sweet spot. It's interesting because Sam, when I say what stands out, whenever you have a designated player, I always say they have to have a separating feature. And when Sam first came in, I thought, I really don't know. He doesn't have blinding pace. He's not a beast in the air. And it's not as though his back to goal, he's bullying center back. So what separates him? And for me now, it's right place, right time. He understands where he needs to be. I think BJ Callahan has made that very clear. And Hani Mukhtar also raising his game back to the levels that we've always known Hani since he's come into the league. Hani's back as well, and that certainly helps Sam Surridge. But the positioning, the starting position of Sam Surridge, I think he feels a lot more comfortable, and he's used to that position from when he was at his best back in England.
Traditionally, it would be for going up against Nashville. You pin in Hani Mukhtar, you cut off the supply lines. Nashville doesn't have that second option. Now under BJ, you've got Sam, and then there are some other supporting players that take advantage of this positional gravity. Who else, in your mind, has benefited the most from the unlocking of Surridge and Hani getting back to being Hani?
It's a great question, and I'll tie this back in when you said the difference with Gary Smith. I would say Gary didn't have Patrick Yazbek, he didn't have Eddie Tegseth, and they make a massive difference. And the style to which BJ can play now is that they can press higher up the pitch. They can keep teams locked in their own half. They can keep their team on the front foot in the front half. And so they make a massive difference. So there's wave after wave now coming. I don't think Eddie Tegseth, John, has been given enough credit for what he has done for the team. If there was an MVP category in terms of the most valuable player, he's got to be in the conversation for what he does, winning second balls, biting at the other teams, their ankles, not allowing them to find a rhythm in the game. He makes the most difference for guys like Schaffelberg to go, and I still don't think we're quite seeing the best of Schaffelberg. We're seeing it in glimpses, what he can do. But Alex Mawil, I think he's the biggest benefactor of what we've seen in terms of players off the radar. To what you wouldn't notice right away. You want to talk about Surridge, you want to talk about Hani Mukhtar. Now we're starting to talk about Tegseth and Patrick Yazbek. I think Alex Mawil has had the best season that he's had in MLS. It's the position he takes up. It's the role he's been asked to do. And the guys that are around him as well have certainly benefited from the quality of Tegseth and Yazbek.
Ross Smith practicing safe guesting on his way to practice this morning in Nashville, hanging out with us here on SDH AM. It is the purple team coming to Geodis. Yeah, we can't use the O word here in an Atlantic program, Ross. So they played in the midweek. Gillespie ends up getting the save and the shot and the clincher and the PKs, which was insane. What kind of a lineup are you anticipating for the purple team coming to the fairgrounds and the Speedway to take on Nashville this weekend?
I think it's really it's interesting. I don't know. And the one thing that's helped them is that their game next weekend, which my partner Tony Husby and I we were going to be covering, their game has been pushed now to October 11th, and so that allows them then to maybe turn out a stronger team today to be able to then flip that around and turn it around against Miami, knowing that they have next weekend, without that game. So it's interesting. I think Oscar Pereira, that's the one standout feature to what he's done is depth in this team. And he's almost got two players for each position. And for me, Oscar Pereira, I don't think he's in the conversation enough for being top manager. What he does with players from scattered all over the world, and I know that's the league we're in now, but there's no better example than Orlando, where I feel like you have two players from each part of the world that have come to his team, and they found the common thread. So getting back to your question, I think it'll be a semi-strong team, but I don't think it matters because I think he's got the rotation, he's got the buy-in, and he's got 20 players that at any point can step in and do the job.
And I think what we've also seen with Oscar, and it's probably like over the last two seasons, it seemed like old Oscar, when he realized, okay, I'm safe, I'm in the playoffs, everything's cool, he would decelerate. And then it's like, okay, purple team's in the playoffs, everything's cool, and then they hit the wall the second they get into the postseason. That's not the case anymore with Orlando. They're just still pedal down, and they haven't taken the foot off the accelerator when they're late in the season anymore.
They know what they are, John. And I mean, first and foremost, when you talk about all the stylistic points that I think in Nashville will get, and teams like San Diego, first and foremost, they are horrible to play against Orlando, and I think they embrace it. Every game they go in, it's a street fight, it's a brawl, and teams know it. They have to be up for it. They have to be up for the gamesmanship. Players like Schlegel, I think he defines what Oscar Pereira's side is all about. That he will fight and he'll pull for every little moment to go his way. And that is just it reverberates throughout the whole team. And that's what they're about. So first and foremost, they fight. And I think they wear you down. And then you get into a long season, you start to step into playoffs and you think, oh my goodness, we've got Orlando again. You know, the body's maybe a bit tired. We're piecing ourselves together and we got to go up against this team who aren't going to give us a second to breathe. That's where they get at you. And that's where I think they become stronger and stronger because every single player knows what they're about. Every single player fights for their lives for every single 90 minutes, even at this stage of the season.
So then how do you combat that kind of a team? Say you're on the opposing touchline.
Yeah.
You're going into this matchup knowing it's going to be a street fight. Do you match street fight for street fight? Do you change your mindset a little bit? How do you attack a street fight in this case?
Yeah, it's difficult because you can't get sucked in because that's exactly what they want is to rile you up. But then at the same time, you can't back down. So you have to find that balance of not losing your head. And think about, you know, when Messi in his first year, nobody could figure out the formula to beat Miami until Orlando came along and Araujo in the center of the park got under Messi's skin, you know, and he thought that's the first player to do that to Messi, and Orlando turned Miami over. It was impressive. You got to find the balance. You got to find the balance, and you've got to, as best as you can, let your quality show through. And Nashville had plenty of it. You know, if you don't have the quality, then you have to grind it out against them. But you have to match it to a certain level. But you have to trust that your quality and you have to rise above it with your ability levels.
Okay, let me go through secondary transfer window. We'll do some of the greatest hits here as you're on your way to practice. Paxton Aronson comes from Europe, comes back to Major League Soccer. That's another big get for MLS 3.0, whatever you want to call it. You now have players from Europe who are of U.S. M&T quality coming back to play here in Major League Soccer. How big a get is having somebody like Aronson come back to Major League Soccer?
At his age as well, the European experience. You know, you've seen it with Mihalovic when, you know, coming back to Colorado and then obviously Toronto and the amount of money they've paid. So it's great for MLS getting guys in their prime and wanting to come back to a league that, you know, they were very much a part of before and helping to grow. And I think that's important when you hit on that point, is that players who want to be here to see the league grow. I think you're starting to see more and more of that. Yes, you know, Paxton being American, but you're seeing other players from outside the country. They want to be part of something and to push it forward. But in terms of this transfer window, John, is as well with other, you know, big ticket names coming in. Obviously Muller, obviously Son for LAFC. You know, everybody's making a push. Columbus Crew have gone out and signed a designated player attacker, spent a lot of money on it. You know, Cincinnati, I don't know if it's over the line, but Brenner's coming back, it sounds like, who was terrific. I don't know if that's over the line by today, but it's just the names that are coming back in and more the talent is improving. And I'll finish on this. What has stuck with me, I sat with Jim Curtin, I think it was the start of last season. And Jim Curtin, I'm waiting to see where he's going to pop up. But Jim Curtin said, what other league overpays for players than MLS? And he said, we'll go out and we'll spend a little bit more to be able to bring in the talent. And he's right. When you do actually sit and you think, what other leagues in the world will pay the money that MLS is paying? And, you know, it's a league now that is taking you know, more investment, further pride in the talent coming in, and they're willing to spend a bit more than other leagues to bring that talent.
All right,
in.
what's your best Tony husband story? I know you turn into a pumpkin here in a second.
Oh my goodness, my best Tony husband story. You know what, Tony has he's never won for a signature goal call, and this one stands out to me because Tony to find humor in his own jokes, you know, that's never one for him. But our St. Louis game last year, we had Nelly, who is from St. Louis, going to be he delivered the match ball and he was in the stands, and he is asked for the producer, if St. Louis score, make sure you get a shot of Nelly because I've got a great goal call. And that's never Tony. Tony's goal calls are always, off the cuff. And he had it ready that, and he didn't tell me. And it wasn't until after the game. It was 0-0, so he never got to do the goal call. But he wanted, if St. Louis scored, there was going to be a shot of Nelly, and he was going to go, "Oh, it's getting hot in here."
See, I would have.
It's so cheesy,
That's
John.
great, though.
It's so cheesy, but I thought that's brilliant, and it had me in stitches because that's so unlike Tony, and he was so happy with it. But it didn't happen.
I would have said that it was something like, "I'm from the Lou and I'm proud." That would have been what I would have done if it was a Nelly shot in there. Just don't talk Plymouth Argyle with him. I think that's the key with Tony. You can't talk because, all right, full disclosure, Tony's been on with us in this time slot before, and over my shoulder in my studio, I'm in a hotel room about 2 hours southeast of Atlanta today. In my studio space, over my shoulder, I have the Plymouth Argyle AFC Wimbledon promotion playoff scarf over my shoulder because I'm a member of the Don's Trust. I kind of conveniently forgot to tell Tony that I'm a member of the Don's Trust. And so literally I shifted over and I said, yeah, and and he noticed that I had the Plymouth Argyle thing there, and it's just like, yeah, man, we're not good this year. And it literally, if you get him going on a Plymouth Argyle riff, he's gone and you can't bring him back, and it's awesome.
To me, and with Wayne Rooney when he went there and he couldn't believe it, it was tough times. We were having an extra pint at the bar nights after games to talk about, to commiserate over his time with Rooney. I've got to ask you before. I know you've probably got to cut me loose, but so you're Dons, and are you Dons or Wimbledon, AFC Wimbledon, or MK Dons?
Whoa! You just mentioned a team that's a bunch of carpetbaggers, sir. The ones that exited. Okay, so here's the deal. I thought you were turning into a pumpkin because you parked. Okay, so got a couple minutes here. Full disclosure. When I started like a decade or so ago getting back into the EFL and the English Pyramid and all that kind of stuff, I thought it would be cool to join a trust in each of the divisions. And so what I did is I joined Swansea's trust, I joined Pompey's trust, I joined AFC Wimbledon, and I joined Scunthorpe United. And I'm like, okay, I've got one in each, and it costs like $60 a year to do all four, and that's cool and everything. And when Portsmouth was being sold, they send you this 40-page document that you've got to go through and approve it to Michael Eisner, all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, great. I've got one in each of the four divisions. Then that whole pro rel thing got in the way. And so literally I'm now having teams playing each other that I have trusts with, So it's like AFC Wimbledon's playing Portsmouth, and I'm losing my hair about what's going on with all of this stuff. But no, I am AFC Wimbledon. I've got the document on the other side of the desk back in the office. And so that literally was, when AFC Wimbledon, and I didn't tell Tony this either, when Akinfenwa scored the penalty to secure promotion, I was screaming in the office, and the boss back home, literally, she comes running downstairs and she's like, "What is going on? Is everything okay?" I said, yeah, everything's great. We just got promoted. And she's like, "Oh, that." And then she just kind of did her hand, and then she goes back upstairs. But yeah, so I didn't tell Tony that part about Akinfenwa and the PK. I didn't get it. So yeah, literally that's how I'm wired.
That is. We got to have you had Robbie Earl on your show? So I learned sort of my trade of broadcast under Robbie Earl because we were both at Portland, and what a guy, what a fantastic guide, what a fantastic person, mentor. But if you want stories, what a guy for that as well.
You get Robbie on here, and I'd budget 20, and we'd probably go for an hour and a half. Have a great call with Tony. Now that you have the key, now that you have the garage door opener, like I tell everybody else that comes on in this 10 o'clock slot, Tony, Terrence, you, Whittingham, all of you get bored on a Friday and you want to pop in here in the hour of chaos, say your 3 minutes, get in and get out. That's what this hour is for all of you to kind of sit there and so like, hey, I'm sitting here at practice and I figured I would check in. That's what this 10 o'clock East hour is for, Rob. You've got the garage door opener, go to practice and have a good call this weekend.
I would love to come on again. Thanks so much, John. Need to chat with you.
There goes Ross Smith. He's going to practice, and he's in Nashville. And so Ross now knows my secrets. Kacey D is going to join us in about 10 minutes. We're going to talk things. We mentioned Brenner, and I wanted to get into Brenner here for a second. And we'll get into all of the moves that happened in the MLS secondary window. And Brenner was the one that stuck out to me. So it appears, and I don't think I've gotten anything from FC Cincinnati in the mail that breaks down, okay, Brenner is now back at FC Cincinnati. I don't think that's official through the club yet. I'll go back and look at my emails, go back and look at the website. I don't think it's official. But when Laurel Pfahler broke this yesterday as something to happen before the end of the window, I literally was like, are you blanking kidding me with this? So here's from Jeff Carlisle. Parts of 3 seasons with Cincinnati, 27 goals, 72 league and playoff appearances. 2022, 18 in 31. Itching to make a move overseas, transferred to Udinese for a fee of around $11 million in the middle of the 23 season. Struggled to make much of an impact in Italy, scoring just twice in 19 League and Cup appearances, hoping to recapture his form back in Major League Soccer. Cincinnati and Udinese are looking to complete the deal. And like I said, this was last night about 7 o'clock. And so it was trying to figure out, okay, what's the deal? And how it was that Brenner was working his way back to FC Cincinnati. And so Bogert, same time last night, around dinner time. Loan from Udinese, working to finalize the signing ahead of 1 a.m. Initial loan, purchase option in the winter. TAM signing for 25 while on loan. And so now you would have Brenner coming back, Evander, Denke, and them chasing after championships in the Eastern Conference. And so with all of the things that were going on with Brenner toward the end of his tenure, you're like, really? Coming back, huh? Apparently so. Like I said, I have nothing official from the club. Let me go back and check my email just to make sure that nothing happened while we were yakking. But we do have another couple of clubs who did announce some things. As I try and track down my notes from FC Cincinnati. Okay, so the last note that I have from FC Cincinnati has to do with the Orlando City game getting flexed to the 28th of September to Sunday Night Soccer. That's the last thing that I have from FC Cincinnati in an official capacity. So yesterday, LA Galaxy got $1.5 million from Nashville in exchange for midfielder Jonathan Perez. Cash for player trade, straight up. An additional $300,000 to LA if certain performance-based incentives are achieved by Perez. Galaxy get a sell-on percentage if Perez is sold to another club. Also, that happened late last night. Toronto FC adding Jose Cifuentes from Rangers. This was rumored yesterday, and now it's officially official as of 9:30 this morning. Cifuentes on loan from Rangers. Loan agreement runs through the end of June of 26. So basically, it's like a year-long loan deal with a purchase option. Added to the club's roster pending receipt of the ITC, work permit, and medicals. 26-year-old midfielder will not occupy an international slot as he obtained a U.S. green card December 2nd, 2021. Completed on Thursday prior to the close of the secondary transfer window. Quote from Jason Hernandez, Toronto FC's GM. Was it with Rangers for the last 2 years? And obviously spent time in the league before. 3.5 seasons, LAFC helped lead them to the Pie Plate and MLS Cup and the CCL Finals in 2023. 4 seasons, 15 and 20 through 121 appearances. Originally joined LAFC on a TAM deal back in 2020. 4th player in LAFC history to reach 100 MLS regular season matches. Just 10 players in MLS history to reach the milestone in their first 4 seasons before turning 25. So Jose Cifuentes from Rangers on loan to TFC. That happened this morning officially. Then, shock of shocks, Inter Miami signs Argentine youth international attacker Matteo Silvetti. Silvetti joins from Newell's Old Boys, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, as a part of the U22 initiative. Announcing today they've signed Matteo Silvetti from Newell's Old Boys to a contract through the 29 season with an option for 2030. Talented Argentine youth international attacker joins the club as part of the U22 initiative, pending receipt of the ITC and the P1 visa. 19 years old, comes from Newell's, Graduated through the youth ranks, spent the entirety of his professional career, making his professional debut in 24. Since then, 37 appearances, all comps, 6+2. Silvetti has represented Argentine's U20s, 3 appearances, 1 goal since his debut in 24. Notably, and this is the last paragraph, managed by Javier Mascherano in his 3 appearances to date for the Albiceleste's U20 side. So, signed from Newell's to a contract. Doesn't say how. It's like it might have been a, hey, here, take him. You want him here. So apparently Silvetti is a here, you want him deal? Messi and friends are like, sure, we'll take him. Signed from Newell's on contract through 29, option for 30, and he's a U22. Matteo Silvetti, 5'7", 19 years old, from Rosario, Argentina. So that is that happened. Like I said, that happened early this morning. It was released that it happened, but it was part of everything breaking down before getting into the end of the secondary transfer window. So let's roll through what Tommy Scoops has to say with all of the transactions. No, that is not what I want. I want to go here. And literally, it's like if you don't do it a certain way, then the phone sits there and squawks at you, and you go through. Okay, so mentioned Brenner. Ivan Jaime on loan from Porto to CF Montreal, loan until next summer, includes a purchase option. Jaime added to Montreal's roster as a DP. Houston Dynamo signed Malian international midfielder Diadi Samasiku. Samasiku, 29, previously with Hoffenheim and Salzburg. He's a free agent, 42 caps with Mali, 87 Bundesliga appearances. FC Cincinnati's deal to sign Poland international Dominik Marchuk on loan from RSL does include a permanent option. Option is for a cash trade. So that sealed the deal, the loan deal through the end of the year. RSL gets a first-round super draft pick since he gets Marchuk and his international slot. So Cincinnati gets Marchuk. They sign Miles to an extension, and it looks like they're bringing Brenner back. And so as of 11 hours ago, Bogert has the deal being done. Nothing official in paperwork from FC Cincinnati in the form of a press release. Loan option Udinese till the winter with a purchase option. Brenner hits cap as a TAM. Less than 3 hours ahead of the deadline. Deal is sealed. So like 10 o'clock Eastern time last night. So Brenner, Marchuk, and so your depth chart is this. Denke, Dado Valenzuela, Ayub Jabari, Sergio Santos, Brenner, Kai Kamara, Ender Echenike, and Yuya Kubo are your forwards. Central attacking mid, Evander, Dado Valenzuela, Luca Orejano. Central midfielders, Buka, Samuel Gidi, Yuya Kubo. Defensive mid, Tom Bryan Anunga, Gidi, Steven Jimenez, and Obina Wobodo, who is on the injured list. Your back line of 5, left wing back, Orejano, Lucas Engel, Brad Smith. Gilberto Flores, Lucas Engel, Teenage Hadebi at left center back, Miazga and Hagland, right center back, Miles, Hagland, Alvis Powell, right wing back, Marchuk, Orejano, Kubo, Echenike, Alvis Powell, and in net, Celentano, Evan Laurel, and Paul Walters. That's your depth chart for FC Cincinnati right now. So we mentioned Samasiku, we mentioned Marchuk, mentioned Brenner. Let's see. Trying to go back here. Minnesota United was trying to finalize a deal, signing Greek defender Nektarios Triantis from Sunderland. Deal's all set, and the personal agreement was laid out by Pete O'Rourke. 22 spent last year on loan from Hibs in Scotland, and Paxton Aronson had his press conference yesterday with the masses. City was done with the window. FC Cincinnati currently tied as they roll through. Okay, last half hour of the show. And it's time to bring in Kacey D, and we get to find out what is on her mind. We get to get a little opposition research going with Toronto, and we get to talk about the college game, anything else on her mind before we go and lay everything out with her. So, Kacey D, looks like you are at home again. Is that true?
I am. It's a little surprising that I'm at home, but I am. You're right.
So I'm the one in the hotel 2 hours away from Atlanta right now. So
You're at flip over the script.
Well, yeah, I know it's the time of the year where everything kind of blends together, and the American high school football, and I'm out on a shoot in Milledgeville, Georgia for that. That's later today. So I'm doing the show from a hotel room. and hope that everything happens. That the signal stays the way that it's supposed to.
Thank
And we get to talk about things. I do want to talk. Last night, I did have the TV on kind of in the background, and it was South Carolina and Ohio State that was going on in the SEC. I do want to get into that a little bit later on, everything else in the SEC and the ACC. Low down dirty cheaters in Gainesville and your call with Jen Hildreth and all that kind of stuff. We'll get into that. Okay. The last MLS match you called was Columbus and Toronto with Evan Weston last week. This is where the opposition research comes into play. With Atlanta United taking on Toronto this weekend, Sunday afternoon, 4:10 kick. What did you see in Toronto that folks need to keep an eye on when it comes to the Reds coming into this matchup this weekend? What stuck out to you?
Well, first off, if I don't say that Jessica was on the call with me, she's going to get upset because she's an OG. So it was Jessica Charming. I have to say that. I'm sorry, John.
Yeah, that's right. It was. It's like
Evan was the week before, though. Like, these games are coming so fast, but because it's Jessica, because you know her, I've got to say that.
Yeah. So she'll shoot me next time I see her too. So yeah, it was the Wonder Twins calling that matchup. Yes.
Oh, that's hilarious. So what's really interesting about Toronto? They are a team right now that you do not want to let stay in games. The last two matchups that they have had with Philadelphia Union, with Columbus Crew, they've shown that they'll give up early goals. So their start is certainly something that Robin Fraser is going to be focused on, but they're giving up early goals. The problem for the Philadelphia Union, the problem for the Columbus Crew is they almost were in this rhythm of it just looks like a goal is going to come. They were able to get more possession. They were able to move the ball around and get chances, but it was not this urgent speed of play to put Toronto away. When Toronto has shown that they can stay in the games, they figure out something at the end to get that equalizing goal. But it's even more than that. From a possession standpoint and an urgency standpoint, they seem to adapt really well at halftime. So you don't want to let them get to halftime close.
Georgi Mihailovic is now in the stacks, and he has been very quiet offensively at the tail end of his time in Colorado. Still pretty quiet right now with Toronto. What does he bring to the table in a perfect world that Toronto is looking for to unlock with him now there north of the border?
The perfect world is him scoring goals and getting assists 100%. But I believe that he draws so much attention, talking attention about him, whether it's scouting reports, whether it's media, whatever it may be, and then attention on the field. He plays in pockets of the field that might just shift a defender 1 or 2 yards to open a gap for someone else. So when there's a high profile player that's brought into an environment, they take attention off, and I would say pressure off of other players where they're able to step up. So do I think that there's going to be more production from him? Yes. But what he's doing already is taking that pressure and attention off other players, and it's allowing other players to step up. On top of just the fact that he can play make and he can take set pieces, corner kicks, his service. For their goal, he was able to have the service. So he still is providing.
All right. So when you got to take a peek at them, I know that we kind of look at shiny objects and we look at starting 11s. If Toronto is to be successful, I guess this is almost like match game. Give me somebody second level, below the radar, not really one of those names that you gravitate toward. For Toronto to be successful, who are some of those foot soldiers that have to be a part of the conversation for Robin Fraser?
For me, Coelho in midfield is probably the most unsung hero. We've talked about it. I love holding midfielders. I love playmakers. And in the first half versus Columbus, he would drop between the center backs and dictate play to a degree. But in the second half, it was almost as if a coach went up to him and said, I want you to do this every time. We're better when you're on the ball. Because the second half, he got on the ball and Toronto was able to set more play. And when Toronto's able to do that, they build into the games, they build confidence. And with any team, when that confidence is going, everyone has pieces up top that can generate chances, have chance creation. So that was the big difference I saw from the first half to the second half, was his intentionality to be a playmaker, to be involved in the build in almost every time that Toronto had the ball.
Oppo Research with Kacey D. And yes, Kacey, we did not know that you were a card-holding member of the Holding Midfielders Appreciation Society. We do have the HMAS here on at Soccer Down here. So
You
yes,
know why? I'm an attacking midfielder, so I loved my holding midfielder to do certain things, and it just made my life so much easier.
they got your back. They let you run. They've got your back. That's what you're hunting for.
Yeah.
So it's good to see Kacey, a member of the Holding Midfielders Appreciation Society. That's a look at Toronto. Anything else that sticks out in your mind when it comes to TFC that folks need to look at other than shiny objects and Coelho in the midfield?
I don't know if there's anything super specific. I do think they're going to have to figure out Bryn Hildson up top. He was not much of a factor in that game. So you've got Kerr coming off the bench. You now have Vilsant. So watch for Robin Fraser to figure out who is that pairing partner with Mihailovic operating underneath. I think there's some decisions to be made there.
All right, college game. Last time you were on with us, you and Jen got to sit through a weather delay. Hey, we're shocked. North Florida, Panhandle, rain, August. Oh my God, no, that never happens.
Never.
It was Florida State and the Lowdown Dirty Cheaters from Gainesville. When you look at those kinds of matchups, you want them early in the year to kind of see where you are. What were some of your takeaways early on looking at Florida State and the Lowdown Dirty Cheaters?
Well, when there's a weather delay, I think it's always fascinating to see how teams come out of a locker room. And that really was the story of this game, because I'll give the Gators some credit. They came out pretty strong. And Florida State is a worthy opponent. They are in so many ways the gold standard of women's soccer in the last few years. And to come out and keep it really tight till about the 35th minute was really impressive. Then the rain delay happens, and we think we're within a minute of it coming back out. We go back in, then it happens again. So when you're going through that, what is your leadership doing? How's your coaching staff managing things? How are your peers and teammates managing those moments is something that's really important. Florida State, after that delay, showed why they're Florida State. They came out, they had made, I knew that was going to make you happy. They came out with an urgency that they didn't have in the first half. Now, it was the first game of the year. So there's always going to be that little bit of nerves, that connectivity piece, but they showed their quality. They showed the responsibility of coming out after a weather delay, and they went after it. The chance creation was insane that they had after they came back out.
And it's interesting now that the schedule quirk has happened, where you've got to schedule even more games with the calendar having been expanded. And you're seeing a lot of random matchups where D1, Go 5, Group of 5 clubs are sitting there going, oh, crap, we need matchups. And you're seeing like D3s showing up against D1, kind of thing. What do we gain? And this is a philosophical question, so answer it as you wish. And that was not me sending you an email. What, I guess, are there benefits to expanding the schedule this additional week? Is the benefit to the lower division club getting the opportunity to play a D1 with this expansion of the schedule? I guess, are there more benefits to it, or is it just kind of the way things are with the system being the way that it is these days?
I think that there can be a benefit in a multitude of ways, potentially. One is that you just get a little bit more time to be able to ease players into things. It starts early, but games that maybe aren't as instrumental to what you're doing. So it gives you time to see certain things. There were some cancellations. I mean, we were like 4 minutes away from getting canceled in Florida State. We weren't, but if there are, we've seen some of those across the country. Like, you can move on, you can get another matchup, whatever it may be. I think the one thing that's, interesting is that we want to expand. A lot of people want to expand the college season because it's so much in so little amount of time. So for me, I don't mind expanding it to a degree, but when you add in an extra game weekend, how you manage that is really if it's going to be to your detriment or if it can be a positive for your group.
Kacey D hanging out with us here outside of her normal Tuesday, because she's like one of the busiest people in show business. So we try to hang on. we try to hang on to that comet's tail as hard as we humanly possibly can, trying to pin you down every week. Traditionally, for those that may not know, Kacey D-Bats lead off with us on Tuesdays, and we go over the weekend and everything there. SEC, ACC, what has stuck out in your mind? Like I said last night, I had in the background South Carolina taking on Ohio State. Ohio State came in, and their starting 11 wasn't their full-blown starting 11, and it eventually ended up wearing them down early in the second half. When you look at those two Power 5 conferences, what has stuck in your mind from the last week or so?
The expectation of the ACC has always been to win the majority of games. SEC is now there as well, and both of them are coming out very strong. Last night, 9 out of 10 SEC teams won, and Texas tied. So the one non-win was still a tie. And then you look at the ACC, very similar. 2 out of the 9 lost, including my Tar Heels. I have to say that, but the reality is both conferences are showing that they have the ability to compete at the highest level. That's no surprise to anyone. But what I like about this year is that, in my opinion, and I don't know if this is like true fact or not, but there seems to be more ACC SEC matchups, or maybe there's just more of a focus on it because of the SEC's level and how much better they have gotten in the last few years. But those matchups are making it really hard in non-conference for both.
And you've got one Sunday night, Wake and Mississippi State. Mississippi State loses their head coach to Auburn. And so you try and figure out, okay, where does the Stark Vegas machine go from here? Does it continue to just go on the treadmill and everything's fine? Or is there shakeups, and is it different against Wake Forest? We had Michael Parkhurst on earlier in the show, and so we know all about Wake's pedigree. Wake and Mississippi State, what are you taking going into this one Sunday night at 7:30?
You mentioned James Armstrong going to Auburn. Nick has been around for 6 years with James Armstrong. He is known around the country. Everyone knows he's an emotional leader. He's a motivator, and he's definitely not going to lose that. But he has the tactical ability to be at the highest level as well. So I expect them to hit the ground running. They got their first win under him last night, or first official win, I should say. So I think that Mississippi State is going to continue to be this hardworking, gritty team with a couple very sophisticated players that step up. On the other side, I mean, Tony DeLuce recruited me, and I was talking to him this morning on a coach call, and I said, I'm not trying to make you sound old, but like, you've been around a while. And he started laughing, and I was asking him about his group, because we know they are a fluid, possession-oriented program. They play a beautiful game. But what I liked about what I saw last night was their goals were incisive. They were possession-oriented, but they cut right through back lines, a lot of runs forward in the box. But they're a young team. They're depending on a lot of freshmen, very few transfers to replace what they lost last year.
And by that comparison, rolling it back to Mississippi State, Auburn, they have decided to go to the transfer portal. They've gone international with a lot of their players to try and turn things over quickly. Do you anticipate more teams going quick fix and doing it that way? Like, if a coach goes into a situation that's new, do you anticipate the internationals coming over that much faster, that much more in bulk? Is it going to be transfers and grads? How are you looking at the landscape now, especially with NIL, if that impacts it that much? How are you looking at the landscape changing now with coaches going into new situations?
I don't necessarily think much will change about the international landscape. Those that have international pipelines and are looking to recruit internationally always have and continue to do so. But I do think more and more coaches are going for the transfer portal for some of those, I guess, like you said, quote unquote, quicker fixes or immediate impact type of players. But I believe the best programs have a mix of both in their vision. That long term of getting the top players coming out of high school, which is vitally important for the health of your program, for the health in the country of the sport, continuing to develop players. So that if you mix that with getting, I believe, 1 or 2 impact players, whether it's internationally or transfer, it's a really good mix for success.
You realize, of course, I've held out one of the games that you're calling this weekend on purpose.
You have. I noticed that. And if I know where you're going, I didn't actually bring it today. I have a Christmas mug today. I know it's dirty. It's dirty.
How do you not have more? How do you not have more than one UNC mug in the house?
Because that one is like vintage and I don't even want to like add to it. It's like so old and I just keep it as my UNC mug. So.
Okay. All right. So then secondary question. How many of your old jerseys do you have, and are they framed or are they just on hangers? How much of your career do you have on hangers?
I have one framed Carolina jersey, but I've moved recently, so it's literally like on the ground behind me in like bubble wrap because I haven't had a chance to do anything with it. So being really honest, but I have one of each of my Carolina colors, Carolina blue and white, and then with the US, I have one from every cap, but I've given a few away. I've given to my parents. They're probably on hangers, and I've got one framed. So a little bit of everything. It's a mixed bag to answer that question.
Okay, all right. So how do you end up with now UNC and Rice Sunday at 10? Please tell me that's 10 p Eastern and not 10 a.
It's 10 a because I can do both games. Yes. So that is a 10 a.m. game, and I'm doing that for an institutional broadcast, just being an alum, being in the area. And yeah, so I'm doing that there. It's for ACC X on digital. And then I'll do SEC Network that night.
10 a.m. Man, that's 10 a.m. How on a game day do you prepare for that? I mean, you've got to be in the building probably 8:30 for the broadcast. I mean, work backward with me here. How do you prepare for a 10 a.m. kick?
Well, a lot of coffee in the morning. So that's the first step. But we arrive at least 2 hours before kick. So I will be at the stadium by 8 a.m., ready to go, getting sorted, all of that. So yeah, so literally I'll be waking up, coffee, eat, go. I mean, there's not a whole lot, and there's on cams for this. It's not like you're sitting in a booth with no on cams or anything like that. So I've got that early and then a little bit of a break, reset, and then have the SEC at 7:30 that night.
Crazy. All right. So UNC and Rice, what's study hall been like getting ready for that one?
Well, Carolina losing 2 out of the first 3. I haven't actually sat and looked at if that's happened anytime recently. That's definitely different for the program. So there's obviously still sorting some things out. But I think what needs to be said is the opposition they're facing in Georgia and Tennessee, they are very good programs. And while North Carolina is a storied program and has the legacy piece and won last year, every year is a new start. And they have new players in. They've lost a lot to the pro league. So I don't want to take anything away from Georgia or Tennessee and those wins because they are of the level to be competing in the NCAA tournaments, going far in the tournament, and they've showed up early in this season. So I think Carolina obviously has some things to figure out because the expectation is very high. And having a win last week was good for them. But Rice is going to come in, obviously hard to play in Chapel Hill, but I expect Carolina to be able to handle things this weekend, but you just never know how they're dealing with those early losses.
And Tennessee combines that win with a win against UCLA out on the coast, and they're hanging out before they go play Loyola Marymount before they come back with the checkerboard and they come back to Knoxville. So it's a early good start for Tennessee. As you are the last guest of the week, I will lay this out here on the table for you.
All right.
Is there anything from the week itself that has stuck in your brain, that has driven you crazy, or that has deserved the plaudits, huzzas, and hurrahs that it should? Is there anything that has stuck in your brain from this week that you want to sit there and tip your cap to? Or do you want to sit there and go, this really frustrates me and blanks me off and all this kind of stuff? Is there anything from the week that has stuck with you that is on your mind, that has stuck on your mind this week? Is there anything? Could be national, international.
Warn me about this. You should, because I could probably have a list of things, but off the top of my head, one, I have not been traveling this week. And I thought it would be good for me, and I'm so antsy. So I have to say that first. I'm like, I'm not used to being at home, so that's been kind of strange. But I'll say this. I think I want to make a comment about what you mentioned about Tennessee.
Mhm.
In the college game, and you're going to nod your head with this, those types of losses that Carolina had, whether it's to Tennessee, to Georgia, whatever it may be, over time, you see how good of a loss or bad of a loss it is. And Tennessee beating UCLA, it's starting to look like, well, that might actually be an okay loss if Tennessee is proving that they're going to compete at that high of a level throughout the entire season. So I think that'll be interesting and for Tennessee to follow up with that was really nice to see. I'm a big fan of Joe Kurt and him going into that head coaching role. So I'm excited to see that just from a personal level, a human level of them doing well. Well, we haven't mentioned NWSL.
Nope.
So I'll mention NWSL, the win for Angel City last night over the Orlando Pride.
Mhm.
They had a huge signing, the Orlando Pride. Ovalle is going to be coming. They made a big splash this week. The Orlando Pride lose to Angel City on the road. Angel City has not been in the greatest form, to put it nicely. And they had a late start with having their coach come in, kind of changing the way they want to play, identity, and he has so much success. And long term, I think we're going to see that. But short term, it's been really tough for Angel City. Angel City winning, one, it says something about the Orlando Pride of, okay, maybe they aren't quite at the top. It allows San Diego Wave to potentially get further ahead, Spirit to jump them. But for Angel City, I think that was a marquee win to be able to say we want to still be a part of the conversation for playoffs because they've had such a tough stretch. So I liked seeing that. It makes it more interesting around the playoff line for the NWSL. So that's one piece. And then two teams that I think these are like almost must-win weekends, in my opinion, is Gotham and then North Carolina Courage. Not because they'll be mathematically out or anything like that, but they're in a spot where one win can really propel you, or one loss now starts to compound things because they haven't been in the greatest form and found those results. So I think NWSL is really interesting this weekend.
Kacey D hanging out with us on a Friday, and normally she bats leadoff on Tuesdays because she has been flying around the planet, and this is why we're catching up with her as the last guest of the week. Sunday morning, 10 a.m., North Carolina and Rice. Man, you look, all the caffeine in the world, I give you full credit for lining up at 10 a.m. on a Sunday morning calling a match, especially for the Alma.
Oh, sorry about that. I will say this is my first time to ever call a match at Dorrance Field, not Fetzer Field. I thought to say Fetzer Field because I'm old. I always wanted to coach against North Carolina when Anson was still around. And so a little personal anecdote. I was supposed to, when I was the head coach at Xavier University, I scheduled Carolina as my first game as head coach of the college team there. And I ended up taking a national team coaching job with the youth teams. And so I never got to do that. And I never got to coach at the facility that I played at. And so this is actually my first ever game to be on site in my old stadium. And so from a personal standpoint, I just feel very honored and very grateful. And I'd be remiss not to bring that up because it is something that's really special to me because it was a great 4 years for me and really helped launch my career.
No doubt about it. 10 a.m. UNC and Rice. That's on the ACC Digitals. So for those of you that have the ACC ACC Network Plus, I was about to say ACCDN, ACCX, or whatever.
Google it.
Yeah, whatever the alphabet soup is for the digital platform for the ACC Network, KCD is going to be on. You're going to turn around and do Wake and Mississippi State Sunday night at 7:30. And then she's going to be back with us batting leadoff on Tuesday to talk about NWSL and college and all the other things that stick in her brain. And we get to add her to the Holding Midfielders Appreciation Society as well. That is something that we did not know, but we now know. Fantastic. As always, Kacey, great to see you. Great to catch up with you. Glad we could cover the things that we don't normally get to cover. When you get to drop by, we get to talk college and NWSL and all those really cool things. And when you and the other half of the Wonder Twins, Jess Charman, get to go and travel to Toronto and turn Ontario province upside down with the two of you calling that match. It's always cool.
Well, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Case, we'll see you on Tuesday. Have great calls, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Sounds good. See you later.
There goes Kacey D. And so Kacey D has 2 games, and one's on ACC streaming, one's on ACC Network Extra Plus over there. And then Wake and Mississippi State is on SEC Network. That's on Sunday at 7:30. And so, oh God, I can't believe I messed up the fact that it was her and Jess. All the pictures that they posted on Instagram, that is on me completely. She was paired with Evan before doing Minnesota. That's where I was getting it all messed up. So she was paired with Evan doing Minnesota and Colorado. Then, and that's the thing, it's like, so 2 times in a row, Kacey has called an MLS match involving an opponent that is going in to play Atlanta United. That's where it was stuck in my brain. So John's an idiot. What else is new? Have not seen the quotes coming out of the Chris Henderson press conference, Ricky. I have not seen those. So we've been kind of locked in. We talked to Ross Smith and talked to a couple of other folks. Anything of note? Hang on. Let me go and see if there's anything from the press conference that is in line with anything and everything here. So let's see. Have not seen anything come out of the Chris Henderson presser. And if I could spell Henderson, I could probably sit there and see what's going on with all of the notes. No current plan to change the existing DPs using the same group next year. Club has communicated to Brad Gazan that they're looking for a number 1 going forward. And the U22 slots will be utilized to some extent because they don't have any U22s right now. Brad knows we're looking for a number 1 goalkeeper next year. So that is from today's press conference. So that is, what you're looking at with probably one of the bigger quotes from Hendy from this morning. Brad knows we're looking for a number 1 goalkeeper next year. So that's, like I said, Matt Edwards training individually, Brooks Lennon training with the team, and those look like the early notes. But the early notes, basically, Brad knows we're looking for a number 1 goalkeeper next year. No current plan to change the existing DPs using the same group next year. Club has communicated to Brad they're looking for a number 1 U22 slots utilized to some extent. So once again, utilized to some extent. Like I said, there are no U22s currently on the roster. The last one was Edwin Mosqueda, and Edwin would be a situation where, once again, his contract is over. There is an option year. But right now, with his situation at Millonarios, do not anticipate Edwin Mosqueda coming back. So that's where I think those are probably the couple of bullet points that you would be looking at from the Chris Henderson presser going forward. So we'll see what happens there. Atlanta and Toronto, once again, you've got that coming up this weekend. It's on 4:00, 4:10 kick. And that is on Sunday. Looking forward to seeing everybody there. Remember, Saturday night, it is Atlanta United 2 and OCB. That is, I think it's a 6:30 pregame. So half hour before kick, we got pregame. You'll hear from Jose Silva. You'll hear from Ryan Carmichael. And we'll get you ready for the weekend, and we'll let you know what's happened all week long in MLS Next Pro, and we'll get you ready there. So Atlanta United 2, OCB on the network. That's Saturday night. Sunday afternoon, it is Atlanta United and Toronto FC. It is Five Stripes Countdown, 3:00, 4:10 kick, and also it is the unified match after. So when you go to the match this weekend, come around to the 100s, cheer on the Unifieds, because this is the back end of the home and home for the matchup against Toronto. Remember when it was in Toronto, the early morning kick in Toronto against Toronto FC, it was a 5-3 shootout. And remember, it's only going to go 18-18, so it's going to be 36 yards shorter of a field. That was the first match that Toronto had played, I think, in 6 years as a club. So you've got that to kind of look at going for the weekend. So Atlanta United Unified. If you're there, stay, watch. ATLUTD.com/live. Atlanta United and Toronto FC. That's Sunday. OCB, Atlanta United 2 on the network, on our Mixlr channel, soccerdownhere.mixlr.com, and on soccerdownhere.net. So that's Saturday and that's Sunday. So that's where we are with those. Really quickly, juice boxes for the Premier League. We'll go over officials and what to watch coming up here for the end of yet another week. And thanks for hanging out with us as you always do. West Ham and Chelsea today, 3 o'clock. Chelsea's a minus 149. West Ham's a plus 400. Graham Potter's already gotten the vote of confidence. 5 matches tomorrow. Man City's a minus 196 at home against Spurs at a plus 471. Bournemouth at home, favored against Wolves at a minus 123. Wolves are a plus 325. Brentford a plus 224 at the G-Tech hosting Aston Villa, who's a plus 119. The draw just changed in front of me to a plus 252. Burnley and Sunderland, an early marker for the teams that are being looked at possibly to just go back down to the championship. Burnley a plus 125, draws a plus 215, Sunderland a plus 243 on the road. Arsenal big favorite at home against Leeds at a minus 370, Leeds a plus 910, draws a plus 518. 3 matches on Sunday, 2 at 9 o'clock. Palace a plus 137, hosting Nottingham Forest at a plus 211, draws a plus 227. News there that it is apparently Nuno Espirito Santo and the front office. Nuno's casting doubts over his future as his relationship with Evangelinas Marinakis sours. From Ben Fisher at The Guardian, quote, casting doubt over his future, conceding the relationship with Marinakis has deteriorated, and acknowledging there is no smoke without fire amid reports he could be sacked. And so you secure European competition for the first time in 30 years, 3-year contract in June, pre-match press conference, Nuno, who tends to be guarded and reluctant to overshare, divulged the breakdown in communication after being asked whether his relationship with Marinakis has suffered. Quote, I always had a very good relationship with the owner. Last season was very close, almost daily basis. This season, not so well, but I always believe the dialogue and your opinion is always valid, because my concern is the squad and the season that we have ahead of us, but our relations have changed. It is not so close, meaning the relationship. Now, I'm being honest with you. I cannot say that is the same because it's not the same. The reason behind it, I don't know. My job is always to try and anticipate what's coming ahead of us, and that's what I said with respect. It's not good. I think everybody at the club should be together, but it's not the reality. The reality is it's not what it used to be. It was a good, respectful relationship, but was more based on trust and sharing opinions, and now it's not so good. Asked about the quote where he possibly could be sacked. He says, where there's smoke, there's fire, so I know how things work, but I'm here to do my job. I understand because I'm worried. I'm the first one to be worried. I'm the first one to be concerned. There's no smoke without fire. So that's what you're looking at with Nuno Espirito Santo and the relationship having changed at Nottingham Forest. Everton a plus 209 at home for the home opener at Bramley-Moore Dock. Brighton's a plus 137 on the road. Fulham at 11:30 Sunday morning is a plus 227. Manchester United a plus 117, draws a plus 254. Monday Night Football, Newcastle a plus 234, hosting Liverpool, who's a plus 104. Now, let's get into all of the notifications and find out who's doing what where, what the ref situations look like, and what it's going to look like involving all of the crews this weekend, broadcast, etc. So here's your pro rundown, and then we will get into all of the juice boxes, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, all those things. And so MLS Next Pro, and there's more of that. Do we have our inside video review? We got to look at Gregorio Barkey at some point. Okay, match day 30. We finally have those assignments. Here we go. All right, match day 30, as I sit here and try and fish for it before we get out of here. All right. MLS assignments, match day 30. FC Cincinnati, NYC. Victor Rivas in the middle. Catherine Nesbitt, Michael Barweg, and Matthew Corrigan. Your ARs in your fourth. Eunice Marakchi and Brian Dunn upstairs. Sergei Demyanchuk in the middle for crew and the Revs. Logan Brown, Jason White, Mohammed Hassan. Your ARs in your fourth. Edvin Jurasevich is your VAR, and he is upstairs with Claudio Badea. DC United, Messi and friends. Ricardo Montero Araya, the man in the middle. Adam Winkowski, Megan Mullen, Philip Duyet, your ARs in your fourth. Carol Ann Chenard and Kevin Locke are upstairs. CF Montreal and Austin, Alan Chapman for that one. Elias Arfa, Jeffrey Greason, Mario Al-Ayas, your ARs in your fourth. Greg Dopka, Craig Lowry upstairs. Philadelphia and the Fire, Rubiel Vasquez in the middle. Corey Rockwell, Justin Howard, Servando Berna, your ARs in your fourth. Kevin Stott and Alicia Messer are upstairs. FC Dallas and LAFC. Ricardo Fierro in the middle. Adam Garner, Ben Pilgrim, Jerry Marufo is your fourth. Jeff Gamble, Robert Schapp upstairs. Timothy Ford in the middle for Nashville and Orlando City. Hopefully Ross Smith gets to enjoy that. Andrew Bigelow, Gerard Cater-Lebuy, John Freeman, your ARs in your fourth. Jose Carlos Rivero and Mark Allerton are upstairs. RSL Minnesota United, Joe Dickerson in the middle for that one. Cameron Blanchard, Eduardo Jeff, Alexis De Silva, your ARs in your fourth. Remy Touchant, Joshua Patlak upstairs. Houston and San Jose, Sergi Boyko, the man in the middle. Corey Richardson, Stephen McGonigal, Tori Penso is your fourth. Daniel Radford, Fabio Tovar are upstairs. Fotis Bazakos, man in the middle for Vancouver, and all caps. Jeremy Hansen, Brooke Mayo, Momo Seni is your fourth. Kevin Terry Jr., Ian McKay upstairs. LA Galaxy and Colorado, Pierre-Luc Lozier in the middle. Jeremy Kiso, Diego Blas, Malik Badawi is your fourth. Caroline Chenard, Claudio Badea are upstairs. San Diego and Portland, Rosendo Mendoza in the middle. Chris Wadham, Stefan Tanaka-Freund, Christian Campo Hernandez is your fourth. Greg Dopka, Craig Lowry upstairs. Lorenzo Hernandez is in the middle for Atlanta and Toronto. We'll get his stats in a sec. Eric Weisbrod, Marcus de Oliveira, Walt Heatherly. De Oliveira is your fourth. David Barry, Jonathan Johnson upstairs. Remember David Barry and VAR. Charlotte FC and Red Bulls, Armando Villarreal, the man in the middle. Kyle Atkins, Tyler Y. Rostick, Kalen Radosov is your fourth. Ismail Elfath, Fabio Tovar are upstairs. Seattle and Sporting, Chris Penso, Corey Parker. Chris Penso's in the middle. Corey Parker, Nick Balser, Drew Fisher is your fourth. David Barry, Jonathan Johnson are upstairs. Okay, so Lorenzo Hernandez. Let's do some digging into the kind of style he has and what his stats are this season when it comes to whistles and such. So, according to our friends at Who Scored, and this is where we traditionally go for these kinds of assignments. So, it is Lorenzo Hernandez, 12 in the middle, averages 23 3/4 fouls per game. He has 50, let's see, so he's got 57 yellow cards in 12 matches, so he averages 4 3/4 when it comes to 4 3/4 when it comes to all of the matchups that he has called this season. Fouls per tackle, about 3/4 of a foul per tackle, and he does have he's got penalties per game, 2/3. Hang on just a second. So if he's going to be calling a lot of penalties here, football statistics, top tournaments. No, hang on. So what do we traditionally do? Referees. Hang on. Yes, no, I meant referees. What did we do here? Lorenzo Hernandez, ref stats. What did we do here? Hang on. He's got 12 so far, 2 and 3. He's got 3. So that's a little off. So it's 23 and so he averages 2 3/4 yellow cards a match. He calls about 24 fouls a match. So it doesn't really give a whole lot of cards, but it looks like Lorenzo Hernandez gives us a couple of, statistics. This was how we did it. I don't want statistics. It was not tournaments. It was actually referees. But crap. So, of course, you can't find it in short notice. I don't want football statistics, but it was Who Scored was where we were. So it looks like he doesn't really flash a whole lot of yellow cards, averages about 24 fouls a match. And so that's kind of where we are. So let's see if Stats Hub can give it to me quicker. Not really. Okay, so much for that idea. All right. But anyway, looks like he's not all that when it comes to the cards, and not all that when it comes to all of the fouls. So it looks like he calls about 24 fouls a match. And it looks like, so let's get into the referees section. I don't want to click there. I'm going to close it. And so once again, I apologize for 2024. I don't want 2024. I want 2025. So 2025. All right. So Philip Duyich, referees, etc. So hang on. So referees, stats, top goal scorers. So matches called. Lorenzo Hernandez has called 12. He has it can't be. Yeah, so 57 yellows in 12 matches. So that puts him in, I wish we had a better layout of all of this, but 57 kind of puts him in the middle. He called 6 matches last year, had 32 yellow cards, 12 matches this season, 57. So that's where we are with Lorenzo Hernandez as a referee. So 24-ish fouls, and he pulls about 4 yellows in that grouping. So that's Lorenzo Hernandez quick stats for us that really weren't all that quick because I was trying to find them and I didn't. So that's what we're looking at with Morningdale and Charleston and Loudoun. Yes, definitely looking forward to that one this weekend in USL Championship. Next week at some point, our buddy Kaylor Hodges will be joining us, and we'll find out what's going on with him. So MLS, let's see who's calling what and see if the announced teams have been announced. I thought they had because I thought I saw them, and it was a layout of who's calling what. We know that Tony and Ross are calling their match. So MLS Communications. Let me go here. And I apologize for not having this up faster, considering that we had all the guests that we had. And once again, thanks to Kacey D and thanks to Ross Smith for joining us in hour number 2. And thanks to all of you guys for hanging out with us here as well. So, okay, so it's not an MLS Communications. All right, so I guess we don't have the announced teams set up yet. Anyway, okay. Thanks for all of the rambling this morning. Thanks to Michael Parkhurst. Thanks to Ross Smith on his way to national practice. Thanks to Kacey White as she gets ready for her college matches this weekend. And it will be fun to catch up with all of you at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on the weekend. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we missed before we get out of here. We talked about MLS. We've got all the juice boxes out there, got our crews set, got the quick quotes from Chris Henderson, and we're looking forward to the weekend there. I think we got it covered. If there's anything I missed, obviously just reach out and we'll catch up with again on Monday. On Monday, we'll catch up with what happened with Atlanta and Toronto and the unified teams and all of that stuff, and OCB and Atlanta United too as well. We'll catch up with all that stuff that's there, and we'll let you know all about it on Monday morning at 9:05. This next week will be the last week that we do the Thursday and Friday from the hotels. It'll be from the same hotel in the middle of Georgia. And we'll be doing that one final time because we're trying to get all of these elements shot for high school football before we get out of here. So before the season starts and we have games for real where I can't do anything on a Friday. So today we're here in Milledgeville going to GMC prep for the game tonight, heading home, then prepping for Atlanta United 2 and OCB, then prepping for Atlanta United and Toronto. Then next week it'll be in Hawkinsville, but I'll be staying in Perry, so you'll see like Avid Hotel stuff behind me. So it'll be in Perry and in Hawkinsville on Thursday, Northside and Warner Robins on Friday. So that's where we'll be next week. If you're watching high school football tonight, enjoy your favorite team. If your favorite team isn't playing, go find a game and enjoy it elsewhere. Also on the web, GPP's got Jackson and Mary Persons with Cody Chaffins on the call as well. That's going to be a fun one. So thanks to all of you guys for yet another week. Had some ups and downs for sure. And we'll continue to do our best to let all the news be what the news is each and every day here on SDH AM. For everybody here at SDH, for Jason, for Jarrett, for Maddie, for Sophia, for Nick, for me, and for everybody here, and to all of you, I'm just John. Thanks for hanging out for another go-round of SDH AM. Once again, 92.9 The Game, the Odyssey app, the Off the Woodwork podcast section. We'll have the best of the week. That'll be up tomorrow late morning. And that'll be we'll be catching up with the interview that we had with Nino Torres. We'll have Ross Smith on there, and we'll also have the interview that we had with Jason Stevens as we start our conversations about multi-club ownership models and how that is impacting the World Soccer game. So that is, I think, everything, and we're good to go. Thanks to all of you guys, as always. We could not do this without you, and we'll be back again Monday morning, 9:05, plus all the stuff that we do on social throughout the weekend. and it's going to be a blast hanging out with each and every one of you. So for everybody here at SDH, play it safe, everybody. Mucho platiel. Since it is the end of the week, means I get to do this.
The war was on. Ah, the keys on the typewriter had sharp points that kept sticking into our fingers. The dictating equipment started asking us questions, and our beepers sent electric shocks just through our body like a cattle prod. Out in the warehouse, the trucks kept banging into the docks, not even thinking about stopping. Oh, our frail bodies were strapped to the chairs, and our chairs were chained to the desks. Our pleas for justice were ignored, and the end seemed near. But we busted our slave drivers' little bitty balls. We've charged out of their brick fortress. The streets are ours because it's Friday.